again, guys, and welcome to another episode of the Broadcast Podcast. My name is Thomas, and sitting with me, as always, he's my bro, and he's your bro too. Give it up for Alan.
Hello, everyone. It is me. It is he. It is I. It is me. Welcome back to the broadcast. I am Alan of the broadcast. Tom, how are you?
Bro,
That
I'm
way.
good, and I think we're both getting. Wait, you're this side, this way. You're over there.
Gotcha.
There we go. And look, should we tell people we're actually wearing, guys, the Broadcast T-shirt that we made circa, I think it was 2018. And how's the fit for you, El?
It's snug. That's all I'll
Hmm.
say. It's nice and snug. I'm a snuggly man in a very snug shirt. I will not be standing up during this podcast, guys. It's the future hasn't been good to me, and especially when you're a very large gentleman and you wear a white shirt. Yeah, you remember why you don't wear white, and why black is a very slimming color.
No, I believe you. I haven't worn white in many years. If it's
Yep.
white, it's like usually a jumper's over the top or a hoodie.
Hmm.
And I would say this top's a large, and I haven't been a large, I reckon, since probably ooh, even before we had the t-shirt made. I reckon I should have gone an XL. And I think I only wore it once or twice when we did do the show in person.
This is an XL that you gifted me many moons ago, and I haven't worn an XL in many years. So thank you. I'm glad we're wearing. We look like a couple of stooges right here and now. Like, it's your boy, it's the broadcast. Yeah, look above. Look in there wearing their shirts like a couple of jerk offs.
And do you want to tell people why we're wearing the shirt?
Oh, is this because I did say in last show that it's the show before, sorry, that I was actually going to go and find the shirt, and I was going to wear the shirt, and I totally spaced on. I forgot that I was going to do it. So today, as you follow me on Twitter, I actually found the actual shirt, and I said the things I do for this podcast, and yeah, I popped it on, and I remember why I don't wear it very often. I might retire this shirt for this podcast after this one today. We'll just see how we go.
Yes, and I think it comes down to when we made the shirt, it's like, oh, what should we have on the shirt? We got to have our name. Let's put it red font, the Broadcast Podcast. Okay, let's put a picture. So I used an old app to make a headshot of both Alan and I. And it's like, okay, well, we probably need our socials. So let's chuck on Facebook, which we didn't really have, Twitter, and I thought we need Instagram. Wrote what I thought Instagram was spelt like, had the shirt produced and created, posted the shirt on Twitter years ago, and had someone reply, "You spelt Instagram wrong." I double checked it, and they were right. I think I just wrote Instagram instead of just simply Instagram. So, yeah,
Yeah, you didn't need
yeah.
to add the A. You wrote Instagram, like an
Well,
instant. Can I get an Instagram, please? Thank you, sir. God bless.
no, I
God
think I
bless.
actually added the. Let me pull it up. Actually, I think I added the. No, it was an R. It's meant to be Instagram, but I added
Hmm.
an R after the T. So it almost looked like start, like Instagram. So, hmm.
Australian primary school learnt.
I got
Australian
I
high
got
school.
special help.
I went to the advanced classes. Yes, high school graduate from primary school to high school. Instagram. I love
I
that
don't
you've
know.
also
I just assumed it was that.
no, because I've noticed that we've got iTunes and SoundCloud. Do people
Yeah.
still use SoundCloud? Just still do like rappers do? I mean, I never used really SoundCloud before. I think I might have once when I did my own little sort of solo show. Um, I can't even remember the life of me what it was called.
Well,
But yeah,
SoundCloud was like the house of where you did low cut. You also did a
yeah,
podcast with that one guy, was your old show,
that's
because
the
I used to
one.
help. Yeah, I used to help you produce that. My old podcast used to be on there, but SoundCloud's more of like music, as you just said. Like
Yeah.
people release songs and you can download my song and check it out this way. But I haven't used SoundCloud in like probably 4 years, 4 or 5 years. So yeah,
But the only thing we're noticing on the shirt too is the Twitter. The Twitter is still very much
mm.
alive. We don't have a tick. We're not going to get a tick. Are we going to get a tick? It's up to you. You run that bad boy. I don't. So
Do you have
yeah,
to pay for a tick or is it free?
you have to pay for a tick. Oh, do you need to pay for a tick?
Right.
So
Okay. So
yeah,
that we won't be doing that. We won't be
no,
getting the tick. In
yeah, no.
regards to our Twitter, guys, it's actually the broadcast. That's TheBroadcast. Our socials include Castbox, Castro, Apple iTunes, Podbean, wherever you download your podcast, you should be able to find us. I'm trying to get us on Spotify because I noticed when I went searching for us, we actually appear 3 times on Spotify, but it's like 3 separate broadcast accounts that I've probably made over the years, but they're not current. Like
Okay.
one stops at like Ninja Turtles, then another one gets up to like 2020, and then another one's even a year behind. So I've got to like delete the old ones to have a fresh place for our Spotify. But yeah, that's who we are, guys. And once again, we're on the Universal Wrestling Podcast YouTube page. Our debut episode, Al. We got some nice big downloads, both on the UW Pod page and also the Bloodline Entertainment Network. Any comments about last time's episode?
Very cool. I never thought that in our days of doing this podcast, that you and I would be meeting up with people that generally will be helping us and trying to get our views up. And just to know that, it's actually like we're booming. And a friend of ours actually said in our wrestling chat, he actually came up on his screen there we were on the actual YouTube, and he says, as soon as I'm finished at the gym, I'm going to go home. I'm going to put this podcast on, and I'm going to watch the Randy Orton Cactus Jack match, and you guys will be my commentary." And when I was absolutely wrapped, I was like, "What? No way!" And he's like, "No, legit, man. I'm going to do that." I was like, "That's cool. That's very very cool." So yeah, exciting times.
And we just actually had a catch up. Alan met Nick for the first time from the UW pod. I'm yet to meet Keith, the co host of them, but you guys can check him out on the Universal Wrestling Podcast on YouTube and on Twitter. So, again, all of the broadcast video content will be exclusively to the UW pod page, and then audio content, wherever you get your podcast, you can check us out there. Now, we're on our road to WWE Backlash. As Alan just said, we covered a Backlash match a couple of weeks ago. We went
Mhm.
back and watched Randy Orton versus Cactus Jack, a brutal match. Any comments from that last match, Al?
It's a favorite, and I haven't
Mm.
watched it in quite a long time. But then that night when you and I watched it together, I remember why it's such a good match because it was just brutal. Randy Orton just wearing trunks and boots, Cactus Jack wearing sort of a black underlay of clothing that's covering himself up. So if he was to fall and do that tack spot, uh, it doesn't look as brutal. But when you see bare flesh with little pins inside and you just like you cringe, you're like, oh dude, he's hardcore. So definitely, yes, good match.
Yeah, it was definitely brutal. Again, Randy Orton, one of my favorites. All the best. I hope he can make a return. And, talking about something that returned recently, guys, if you tuned in to WWE Raw a number of weeks ago, Triple H came out with the old fashioned sheet with something being covered, and he pulls off the sheet, and we have a new WWE World Heavyweight Championship. What's your views on that one, El?
I like it. It was
Mm,
very exciting times. It takes me back to many years ago where the undisputed title was introduced, and it was like, wow, we're getting a new belt. It reminds me of Big Gold. It shows that Triple H is a fan and a fan just like us, but also a lover of belts as well too, and a fan of Flair. Because I think if you look at Big Gold from WCW days, you instantly think of Ric Flair. So, and again, there was his mentor, he was his friend. They worked together in the ring, they worked outside the ring. They had some brutal matches together against each other. But it reminds me of Big Gold, and it just makes me think that in the future, when the pay per view Clash of Champions, um, no, sorry, is it Clash of Champions or is it
Night of
no,
Champions.
Night of Champions? Sorry, I went WCW all times there. Was it Night of Champions in Saudi Arabia?
Mm.
We're going to get a new champion. And I look at a belt like that and sort of how it's got an old school pristine to it. Um, it might be Cody winning the title.
Okay. Well, that's probably my
So
next question was who's maybe your top three that
okay,
you think will win it? And how do you think they're going to crown a champion? Do you think it'll be a tournament, 8-man, like
tournaments
deadly game, and it'll happen over the night? Or do you think that it might be a tournament over Raw and SmackDown to eventually have a final at the pay per view?
both. I
Mm,
think
okay.
we'll see during the beginning of May, leading up to it. We'll have like uh what they did with the deadly game tournaments. You know, they had
Mm,
like sort of qualifying matches on Raw or on Heat, because this is the time when SmackDown wasn't around during '98 of the Deadly Games tournament. So, and then when it comes to the Night of Champions, then these matches are going to be put in through the night, and then at the end of the night, it's going to be the main event, the championship.
mm. And who are your
So
top three that you're thinking? You said Cody was one. Who's another one you
Cody
reckon?
Cody is one, Seth is the other, and I'm hoping he's returning, and that is Big E.
Okay, nice.
Mm,
Very
yeah,
nice.
so I'd like to see, yeah, make he to make a return. I don't know if he's physically ready or if he's like, you know, if he can yet, but it'd be
Mm,
fantastic to see him. So the three dudes I have, but I see Cody getting the W, but leading up to it, it's going to be a lot of fun. Even if that might be the main event for that night is Seth and Cody. Again, we've seen it before. We
mm,
know that there's been interviews that Seth has come out many times and said that he and Cody don't get along. And it's like, well, just sort of reminds me of like Dusty and Flair back in the day.
mm.
They kept kayfabe, you know, on many things, but did they really get along behind the camera? There's been different stories. You watch some of the old Jim Crockett Promotions shows, and I'm like talking about the studio shows, and you watch like most nights Flair would come out, cut a promo, it'd just be on fire. Then Dusty would come out 15 minutes later, cut another fire one, right, shots back. Flair would come back out, still got more fire on him. Then Dusty would come out, and then next minute, you know, there's certain wrestling going on in the ring, but these guys have been having all the promo time because they're just trying to one up each other. So yeah, those two could possibly be in the main event, and I'd like to see that.
That's awesome. What's your
Yeah.
take on the look of the belt? Do you like the version? Do you wish it was the big gold, or are you happy with like what people are calling big gold version 2? You know, with the big
Uh,
WWE W in the middle.
well, that's what it is. It's
Hmm.
basically it's a 2003 belt that we're getting, a new championship belt that is something different. Um, it does sort of remind me of the AEW title a little bit, but it is like you said, big gold 2.0,
Yeah.
because you
And I was
can't
going
bring
to
them back.
actually Well, that's the funny thing. I had people saying, "No, I don't like it. Bring back the old one." The old one was actually retired though. Like, it was actually retired back in 2013 when it was world champion Cena against WWE champion Orton in a
Yes.
TLC, and that's when
Yes.
Orton had both belts. But they were called still. It was the WWE World Heavyweight Championship. But I believe it was in might have been 2014 when Lesnar beat Cena at SummerSlam and had the two belts. The Authority gave him one belt, like a few weeks later, and so the big gold disappeared completely, and the big
Hmm.
old WWE Championship that became the main title. But I like it; it's different. It's probably going to grow on me, but it's at the moment I'm like, cool, something a bit different. You probably noticed on our Twitter on the day that they announced it, I put up a bit of a tweet saying, who is going to win the new WWE World Heavyweight Championship? Wrong answers only. And I
Wrong
want to use
answers
this
only.
time just to go through some of the people that we got. Could I do that for you, El?
Please do. Please do.
So I kicked off with Heidenreich. That was my
Yeah, I
person.
saw
It was
that.
him coming down there. We had El Generico was another person put that up.
Saw that.
We had Glacier.
Oh, okay.
I
Yes.
think you put up Goldberg.
Hmm. Which is he
Smackin' at Raw put up Mordecai when he was, I think, what was his old gimmick? When he was with the
is
New Breed. What was it? Kevin Thorne.
Kevin Thorne with Ariel. Mm-hmm. 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 Vampire Lady. Yes, please.
So I had the Shockmaster, Kevin Federline, the Hurricane,
Mm-hmm.
Daniel
Mm-hmm.
Bryan, and lucky last I had David Arquette. A couple
Oh.
of other ones, Mr. Kennedy. I had Alex Wright. I had Doink the Clown, Snitsky,
Mm.
another Doink the Clown, Eugene. I even
Oh.
had Santina Morella was also put on there as
Oh.
well.
Oh dear. Oh dear. Mm.
So thank you
Well,
everyone there for putting in your suggestions.
yes, I appreciate everyone jumping in on that and having a bit of fun with us. I when I put Goldberg's one up, I didn't really think. Well, I thought it said "You're next," and I thought this would be kind of fun. Then I realized after posting it, and I was going to delete it. It was like "You're last," and I'm like, I made a mistake. I'm going to keep that though. So yeah, I've just made that publicly. I did not mean to post that particular gift of Mr. Goldberg. But yeah, you're last. Was that against the Undertaker? I wonder. At Mania when he nearly killed him.
I actually think it might have been. Yeah, that was from what Super Showdown, eh?
Yeah, that
We
was
should do that
bad.
one day.
I don't have 5 hours to spare. I'd rather kill myself if we're going to do that one.
Not the
I
whole
wa-
show, just that
oh, that.
match.
Yeah, I forget that. Still have a bit of PTSD when it comes to you working with you. Is like, hey Al, do you want to do a 6 hour show? I'm like, no, I don't. I don't want to sit on my ass for the next 6 hours and watch wrestling. It was like, no,
Mm.
no, we've got half an hour. Cool, let's do that.
But
Let's
it's
watch
funny that you
another
think
man kill
about it.
another
Like,
man.
it's funny because you think we used to crank out like 3 hour shows, like sometimes
Mm.
4 hours, because we would do like a prediction show and then do like a whole companion. Like, I think our SummerSlam was like nearly 4.5 hours, nearly five.
I was going to say the 1998 SummerSlam is one
Mm.
of the longest shows I've ever been part of, and with any of the podcasts I've ever been on. And mind you, I've done like streams like that on Twitch that have lasted very long, but not to the extent of that's nearly a 5 hour show. Because again, we talk a lot of shit. That's what we do best.
It's good times.
It's good times, yes, very good. What again? I
Well,
have a question for you. What happened
yes.
to the beard?
I was waiting for you to ask me about that.
Yeah.
No, I was getting irritated the other day. I got myself a zip up jacket, and as I was zipping it up, my beard got caught in the zip,
Why don't
and
you
it was
tie it
stuck
up or
like that.
something?
And then I couldn't actually get my beard out of the zip. I had to get my
Oh,
wife to help me, and she goes, "Maybe just give it a light trim." I'm like, "Yeah, maybe." And do you know the thing when you're shaving and you're like, "Oh yeah, bit more," and I'm like, "Oh damn it, it's not going on right." Next thing you know, I'm like, "I'll just leave it the way it is. I'm not going to keep going because
yeah.
I'll end up stuffing it up and just have a mustache left." So
Yep.
yeah.
Okay. Understandable. All right. Well, Good on you. It just recently took me back to a scene in The Simpsons where Ralph gets his earring caught onto his shirt, and I would love to have seen that. I really, next time I see your missus, I'm going to ask her. I go, dear, why did you not take said photo of brother caught with beard in zipper? And hope
Oh, it
she'll
was
have an
bad.
answer
It
for
hurt.
me.
It hurt. Definitely hurt.
Yeah, pussy.
Hey. Enough of that. Let's get started on the
Yeah,
show. What do you reckon? After 22
man
minutes,
up, man up,
easy. All right. Well,
be a man.
guys, we're on the way to Backlash, as I said about 10 minutes ago. We're going to be doing another Backlash match, and we decided to go back to a year that I really enjoy. It's something that I go back and reminisce and actually watch a lot. And the year that we're talking about is 2002. And we're going to be watching the main event of Backlash 2002, which was Could you tell people?
It is Triple H. He is at this time the champion, and he is taking on Hollywood Hulk Hogan. HHH takes on HHH. That's right, guys. We are doing that match where
And it's a
young
classic.
become
It's a
old.
I interrupted you then.
Sorry, when young become old. I believe it was a Creed song that was the lead up, as was the theme song for this pay per view.
Which is funny because on the actual binge stream that you can watch it on, it doesn't even feature that song. They've taken it out.
Of course they have. Yeah,
Yeah.
I don't think Creed really associate anything with WWE anymore. So yeah,
Yes, it's a very generic song they play. It's like they've taken half the video package out. It only goes for like 60 seconds. It's very, very short. Because it's like, how did Hogan even get the title shot? It's like they don't even show you all the background. It's like there's some generic song when they go face to face, and you're like, okay. All right, I used to like that, but right. Okay.
yeah,
Next time.
yeah.
All right. So before we actually hit play, as we do each and every episode, we want to give a shout out to not one, but two great wrestling podcasts.
What's up, everybody? I am the patron saint of podcasting, the Warden Matt Ritter, the host of the #1 wrestling podcast on Pornhub. Yes, you heard that right. And I'm here to tell you about the #1 wrestling podcast on Pornhub, the Smackin' Raw podcast. Me and my co-host, Vince Delgado, and Miss Katie Kinsey Bebe of the She Leads Showcase do a weekly recap where we cover Raw, SmackDown, NXT, Dynamite, and Rampage. We are on Pornhub, YouTube, and every audio platform you could think of, and we are spitting what we don't like and swallowing what we do every week. We've also got guests from some of your favorite podcasts. So if you want to have fun, take your pants off, put in your headphones, pull up to your favorite listening or viewing device, relax, and just have a good time. Catch up on the week in wrestling in our own unique way. Come check us out. You guys can find me at Matt Ritter. That is at MATTRIDDER on Twitter only. There you will get Linktree/SmackAndRaw. That'll get you all of the audio platforms as well as Pornhub. You guys can also check out Linktree/Creation World, and that will get you the YouTube, the merchandise, and the Pornhub, as well as other great podcasts from Creation World, which is the banner under which the Smack and Raw podcast exists. If you want to get everything in one shot, go to creationworld.com. There you'll find Super Flash Hero of Tomorrow if you're a fan of DC CW superhero stuff. If you want to check out the Smack and Raw podcast, if you want to check out our other show, Return to Wrestling, where me and my co-host Travis go back in time and he forces me to sit down and watch old WCW Nitros and pay-per-views, and I have to suffer through Hulk Hogan repeatedly. If that sounds like something that you think is fun, come check that out as well. We also have a YouTube-only show hosted by Vince called Spitter Swallow that you can find on our YouTube. We've got so much content for you. Dungeons After Dark as well. That episode 2 is coming. It is our most viewed episode on Pornhub. So if any of this sounds appealing to you, I can't wait to have you guys come follow us, listen to us, and interact with all of you. Like I said, take your pants off, pull up, get comfortable, and let's have a good time.
This is Brian H. Waters here, one half of the Wrestling Realm. As we celebrate our 10th anniversary, we invite you to join in the celebration by subscribing to our YouTube channel. That's going to youtube.com/The Wrestling Wrealm. Wrealm spelt with a W. Also, make sure you follow us on Instagram and Twitter at Wrestling Realm. Like the fan page on Facebook at The Wrestling Realm. And last but certainly not least, find us on Apple, Google, Spotify, iHeartRadio, Pandora Podcasts, and Anchor at The Wrestling Realm. This is Brian H. Waters signing off. Back to the Broadcast Podcast.
All right, guys, we are back. Alan, could you give us our countdown?
All right, ladies and gentlemen, let's get ready to watch this match with your boys, us, Tom and Alan of the broadcast, in 5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
And thinking at this time, didn't he actually have Voodoo Child? Or have they
Yes, he
changed it
did.
as well?
No, no, you can sort of tell by the lights, the flickering. It's if you watch people in the crowd, and if you listen to Fink doesn't even sound. That's Fink and the Shio right there.
Yeah, it's very similar when they did the Global Warning Tour down here. Remember when they did the thing where the audio was all done after the fact, and you can tell it was too piped in; it just didn't sound right.
Hulk Hogan.
And you actually met this man, didn't you?
I did. Back in 2015. It was a glorious day. It was. I'm not going to lie. I absolutely loved it. Sat and was in line with my son for quite a while. My son was only at that time 6 months old, and we got to meet the immortal Hulk Hogan, dressed like this, in this garb, and meeting Jimmy Hart afterwards was fantastic as well too. Beautiful time.
So how did you hear about it? Like, was it WWE or was it done separately?
It was WWE. Yeah, they were promoting a show that was coming down. I think it was WWE Live. And it was a show that was coming out about 6 months down the line. So basically, he was down in a local area, not too far from where I used to live, and it was at I believe it was a JB Hi-Fi. So pretty much a JB Hi-Fi, for people out there who don't know what it is, it's like a place where you can get DVDs, videos, lots of high-tech stuff. Pretty much, and you can even buy a fridge that talks to you, a washing machine that talks to you. So basically, it's like an appliance store, but with different varieties of things. And I learned that he was going to be there, so I went down. And the plan was that if you came in to this actual particular store, you had to buy one WWE DVD, and that puts you into a spot. That would be your spot specifically to meet Hogan in a couple of weeks' time. So as soon as I heard that, I drove down there as quickly as I could, and I picked up WrestleMania. What was the one? It started off with Rock, and Austin. It was
WrestleMania 30.
Yes, WrestleMania 30. I picked up WrestleMania 30, and I brought that and I took that home with me, and that was the DVD I had. And when I got to meet Hogan, he signed that actual DVD and on himself, which was very cool. Now, if I ever get to meet Austin or The Rock in the future, don't think I ever will, I'll get them to sign along on their faces on that actual cover of the DVD.
I've actually got your picture of Hogan on WhatsApp, I think, in our chat group. It's actually in our group. It's one of your display pictures. Yeah.
It's one of my favorites.
He looks jacked there as well.
Man's enormous. Absolutely enormous.
This here is my favorite shot. Look at that. I love this shot. With like Hogan standing behind Triple H. It's something you don't really see, because usually when Hunter does that spot, the camera's central on him, what he's doing in the ring, where having Hogan placed there, it's like this. I just love the idea. It's like this next challenge is right there, standing right behind you.
Yeah, the lights focus mainly more on Hogan's bleach goatee. So when he's under doing that shot, the only thing you really see is the the goatee of Hollywood Hulk Hogan.
Look at Triple H here too. Like this is like, fresh from his injury. He's come back completely jacked up. Won the Royal
is.
Rumble, defeats Chris Jericho at WrestleMania, and then Canada.
Yep.
Becomes the undisputed champion. And again, talking about a new belt, this championship belt here is actually one of my favorites. It only had it for a couple of years, but it's one of my favorite championships of the time period. And
Very
Super
cool.
Tan as well. Super Tan.
I was going to say the only person in that ring right now is talking to your shoulder, Earl Hebner. Is not tanned. He's not tanned enough. He's the Sting of WCW of '98. He just wasn't tan enough, Tom.
It's
Sting
even crazy
that's why he
looking
didn't
at
get
this.
the title. Yes.
Like to think even a year earlier than this, like this wasn't even a possibility. Like the previous year, Triple H was just about to get injured. He was actually injured, I think, in that tag team match, teaming up with Stone Cold. And Hulk Hogan wasn't even in the company.
No.
Like a year ago, Hogan was getting checks, from Time Warner, and then eventually came in with the NWO in November of that year. I know in February of that year, at No Way Out, 2002. And so it's crazy to think how a company can change, in every passing year.
Huge. Absolutely huge. Two jacked up dudes here.
They are. Even Hogan looks good for his age as well.
Because he was in his 40s years, wasn't he?
Yeah, I believe so. And I think one of the things you and I touched on in the previous show was, before Hogan came back with the NWO, he actually had a return tryout match, a dark match against Rikishi on the Hell Show circuit.
Wow, really?
Yeah, and it was actually Hollywood Hogan, like with the black trunks with the lightning bolt,
so I was
black bandana.
The heel.
Yeah.
Against Keish.
Yeah, on the SmackDown Hell Show circuit.
Jerry Lawyer and JR is our commentary team tonight for this main event. It's kind of weird hearing JR and King talk about Hogan for such a while, because later on in a couple of years' time, Hogan would go over to SmackDown and have a program with Vince McMahon and all that jazz. And you normally hear Michael Cole and Taz talking about it. Yeah, Hulk Hogan, he's got to do fantastic things here, Cole. And these guys just bashing into each other.
It's kind of similar to the Warrior, isn't it? Warrior Hogan WrestleMania. Yeah. Similar spot.
Yep.
But he also did this with Vince. Remember when we covered the Vince match from WrestleMania 19? They had a similar spot like this too.
Going back and watching that a couple of weeks ago was fan-friggin-tastic. And how much offense Hogan got in that match. What Hogan should have done there was his knees. It's a classic. Hogan should be on his knees and he starts doing the head shake, just like what Warrior did. We've done that match too, guys. We've been doing this for a while.
Like even at this time, like I remember I would have been about 17, maybe 16 years old at this time, and I'm like, it's one of your favorites, Hulk Hogan, Triple H, one of my favorites facing off. And I was like, yep, Triple H is champion. He's going to have this belt for a year. I'm like, he's going to have the belt for a long time. He's going to take on all the challenges. And this is the time period where like the Universal or the Undisputed title changed hands like almost every month. There was a new champ. It just kept going.
Yeah.
Like to think you would have had Taker, Rock, Brock, Big Show, Kurt Angle, all of them would have won the belt this year. And it's one of those years where it was like the transition and championship belt for a number of months.
It was kind of fun. It was kind of actually, it's something that hopefully in the future, like we were just discussing about half an hour ago, what will happen next when this new title is introduced, the new heavyweight championship in WWE. Hopefully it will be defended more than the actual other universal titles will be. That's totally understandable what what they're doing with Roman Reigns and the program that he's doing as well too. And the stuff that man's been through, it's understandable. But again, we are ready for a time for a title that's going to be on TV more, on pay-per-view more, and maybe exchanged a lot more too. So,
Well, I heard it on the Busted Open Radio. Bully Ray and Mark Henry had a deep dive into that. They want it to be the Workhorse Championship belt, a belt that's going to be defended every week on whatever brand it's on. It's going to be in a main event spot all the time, pushing new stars. It's interesting because, there's also some rumors I've seen online, possibly around a brand split, but separate pay-per-views again. So that way, the world title can have its main spot on a brand, and then the WWE Championship can have its main spot on its brand with two separate pay-per-view events. And then they can double up with these Premier Live events and have this old, this warfare between Raw versus SmackDown. Yeah.
It's old days. It's SmackDown v Raw. Hell, I mean, I don't mind the game at all, but give us Raw versus SmackDown 2024. Throwing it out there now. Do it. I want to see it.
Well, it's interesting because it's like 20 years ago, the brand split was heavily active. You had the two world champions, you had, people switching brands, you had the draft lottery and stuff like that happening. And Triple H, in the ownership role now, was really trying to go back and do things that work. I don't know what it looks like with Roman around what belt he keeps. Does he get a new belt, like an Undisputed Championship belt or something like that? But I like the idea of, separate brand pay-per-views. It gives stars more time to be on a pay-per-view. Instead of having 7 matches, you'll have 2, 7-match pay-per-views that could be coming up.
Yep, definitely.
Yeah, these chops.
Another choke spot there. We saw Hogan. Here we go. Easy now.
Remember that joke we used to say that, like, even as a face, Hogan was quite heelish?
Oh, he did a lot of heel tendencies.
Yeah. Like the choking and the not listening to the referee. I'm like, are you a good guy or a bad guy?
Eye gouge, scratch on the back. He did a lot of kind of heelish things. Oh, that was nice. People wearing the Hulk Hogan shirts.
We covered that first Nitro where he took on Bossman. And most of the match, you're like, is Bossman the good guy? Because Hogan's like scratching him. He's putting him in the corner, these 10 punches. He's ignoring the referee. He's almost shoving the referee. And it's like, you're meant to be the good guy. You're meant to be the champion.
Even that. Yeah. Just bashing his head against the post. Yeah, no. So that's who it was. It was Vince McMahon that named Hulk Hogan the #1 contender. Jesus,
I think it was in the promo that Vince announces it, but it was not like a contender match or anything like that. I think Chris Jericho was annoyed because Jericho wanted the title rematch because he had an opportunity, I believe. I think it was either on the draft. I think it was the draft night where it was Chris Jericho and Stephanie took on Triple H in a 2-on-1 for the title belt.
Yeah. And there was a pedigree spot.
Yeah.
And it's a bit of there was I think there was an upskirt.
You want to do that?
I was about to. No, shut up. All right. Be quiet. I'm trying to do a spot here and you're like, do you want to do it now, Adam? There was a I think it was like an upskirt shot that's not allowed on the network anymore.
It wasn't an upskirt. The girls fell out, in other words.
Was it? I thought it was. I don't. Oh, the boobers fell out, did they? Well, she would have been bounced back. It would have been fine.
Because what was the previous? So WrestleMania, what was that? That was Rock and Hogan, which we've also done. Just from memory, we did that. That was like our 3rd or 4th wrestling companion. And that's when they decided really on the fly. Yep, Hogan's a good guy, guys. Go get the yellow and red. We're changing it up. We're getting rid of the black and white. NWO's turning on him. Hogan's going face.
Something I think I saw Nash actually talked about it on his show. About that was on the fly. It was just like, yeah, go out there. You listen to the crowd. We got a pedigree spot. No, we're always going to launch him. Yeet.
He's such a good sell, Hunter.
Yeah.
Hogan with a cradle.
Yeah, no. Hogan using wrestling? Never.
What's that? People say what his match against Inoki. Oh man, he put on a 5-star classic. Why doesn't he do that in the States? And it's like, well, mostly it was Inoki that was doing it, telling
Yeah.
Hogan what we're going to do with drop toe hold spots.
And plus, Inoki says, tells you something. You downright you listen.
And talking about Inoki, I went back and watched the Collision in
RKO.
Korea. What the hell? What?
I hear voices in my head. They understand. They come to me. They talk to me.
Hogan with a cutter.
Yep. More of a Diamond Dallas type of cutter.
Yeah, as I was saying, yeah, with the Collision in Korea. Just a crazy, like, just the whole episodes just makes you go, wow, different parts of the world are so unique with their culture, and also how restricted, they are of content, like limiting what people can access on a phone device or a computer. But to think they had 150,000 people there both nights, and they were told you have to be there. They didn't want to be there. You would be shot or punished if you didn't come to the show.
I know, it's crazy, hey.
Mm.
That is actually a really good Dark Side of the Ring episode, isn't it? Just how again I've traveled to that other side of the world. I have I haven't been to Korea, but I have been to China, and it's very much similarities are very much the same.
Mm.
You listen to the government. You go out of line, you disappear, and then you reappear, and you change your tone very quickly. So,
I was going to say, how did you go?
I kept my mouth quiet. I knew, because especially going over there, I kept my mouth quiet because I knew I'm not in this. This is not Australia. I can't voice my opinion here, and if I do, I'm done. And then when I was over there, I found out I was going to be a father. So I shut the hell up. I know my place in the world, and if I'm going to say something, I'm going to come home and say it, and I'm going to get on, or get on here and talk. But over there, be quiet. Just keep your head down and don't say anything.
Well, it's like that scene that, what is it they say in the show where when they landed in Japan, Ric Flair gets off the jet and gets on his knees in his $1,000 suit and kisses the ground. Like, to be so thankful that this is more tolerant of me than over there. Just crazy.
Yeah. Yeah, when he comes back from to the United States, it's it's I pretty much did a very similar thing when we got back from Australia. I didn't kiss the ground, but I was just I was happy to be home. Mind you, I had a fantastic time when I was in China. That's just like a minuscule of one thing that we had to be careful of. But I visited temples, I met great people. I ate so much food. It was delicious. It was just fantastic. Tried so many different types of food. I drank so much beer. I've always been a big beer drinker. But Asian beer, it's like water. They say the beer is a lot safer than the water that's over there. So I said, okay. And they do it in long necks too. None of the small stuff. None of the, I just having that. It was fantastic. Oh,
no,
geez,
never gone there. Would love to go there one day. I like Asia. I've been to Indonesia and Japan, but I would love to go to somewhere like China or Hong Kong or Vietnam eventually, once the world starts to kind of get it back on its feet. But no, that's my dream one day.
Very cool. Very cool. Oh, cerebral assassin attacking the leg.
That heavy brace too.
This is this must be killing Hogan too, because this is a Hogan match is always quite short.
Yeah.
And he's wrestling Triple H, where this time, and he's always going to be known as the dude that if he's in the main event spot, he's going to have the longest match on the card.
Yeah, it's almost that Hogan spent more time posing than actually wrestling.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
Because we're nearly 20 minutes in, and that's including the entrances. So
that's right. That's right.
Yeah, and it's mostly Hunter leading the way. But it's a good idea around, breaking Hogan down. Going for a figure four. Nope.
Oh.
Well, here's a question for you. Hogan heel or Hogan face? Which one was your favorite?
I found them both very entertaining. Hogan face, especially during the 80s, and you go back and watch the old videos, it was very much eat your vitamins, say your prayers, drink your milk, be good. And it was things that, as a young person, you sort of wanted to hear that. Here we go, figure four time, hear the woos. But Hogan as a heel was entertaining as hell, because his stuff in WCW was funny. Like, he would come out, he would get his absolute ass whooped the night before at a pay-per-view, and then he would come out on Nitro and flat out lie and go, last night I absolutely destroyed Sting. He couldn't stand me anymore. I was too strong for him. Like, motherfucker, you lost. You got the pin. You got pinned and lost the title, or you went for the title and you didn't get it. So that was entertaining. That was funny. Hunter doing a bit of a heel spot here.
Desperate.
Pulling a page out of Flair's book. Very cool.
Yeah, I think as you were saying, those old Nitros used to always be like Hogan and Bischoff for like 15 minutes of the 20 minutes of the opening part of Nitro of a 2-hour show was just them cutting a promo about Macho Man or Sting or Luger or Giant. Yeah.
Bischoff was his little lackey boy. And he goes, "Oh yes, please, Hogan. I believe everything you say." Everything he spoke about. He just, he couldn't help himself. It was funny times. Oh, reverse Indian deathlock right there.
See, for me, I didn't even know Face Hogan. Like, you think when we got into watching wrestling in '98, the Hogan that I knew was NWO Hulk Hogan. I wasn't watching, the All-American, eat your vitamins, say your prayers Hogan. I was this black beard, yellow goatee, spray painting people, putting NWO on people's backs, covering the belt. That's the Hogan I knew. And then once I started to be able to watch the old stuff, I'm like, oh, wait, he was a good guy. Oh, okay, so he was actually in the WWF in the past, and then went back and watched his old matches. And we've covered a few of the old ones. I think we did Hogan Taker from this Tuesday in Texas.
Yes.
We covered one of his Survivor Series matches back in 1990, I think, with Warrior and Hogan winning there when he was champion. And yeah, I enjoy heel Hogan. I think he's good on the mic. TNA Hogan wasn't really one of my best. I was watching it religiously when he was there.
Okay.
But yeah, probably more of a fan of the 90s, like late 90s Hogan, as opposed to the later time. Fighting back here.
Here we go. Hogan with a suplex.
Wee, look out. With a back body drop. And touching on also Dark Side of the Ring, I watched the Hogan steroid trials. That's a good episode as well. I enjoyed that one.
It is. It's I remember like being in school, especially down here in Australia, and then telling people, "Oh, you watch wrestling. You know it's fake, right?" I'm like, "Yeah, I know that. You know they do drugs, right?" I'm like, what? Yeah, steroids. I had no idea what the fuck steroids were.
No, they don't. They don't.
I had never argued it. Oh, big boots. Hang on. Hang on.
Well, he does it.
It didn't even get a
Jericho.
count.
Jericho.
Oh, what
Jericho
the-
attacks the ref. Steel chair in hand.
Oh, he got that arm up. Thank goodness.
Boom. Yeah.
Now, did Jericho have a match this night? Do you know?
Well, this is that funny thing that always seems to happen when a champion would lose at Mania. They don't have a
Oh,
program
God.
like after the show. So
Yeah.
Jericho came out and cut a promo and demanded to be on the show and wanting to have a match.
Yep.
But he's trying to get Triple H to win because he wants to beat him for the belt to get it
Yes.
back. Yeah.
Oh,
Face plant.
we're going for the clothesline.
Up and over.
Kick Jericho out. He is gone. Goes back to Hogan. Oh,
Look at the crowd too.
when you realize, here we go.
Yeah.
It never gets old. Never gets old. You pointing the finger. Oh, I never thought you'd see this. Hogan and Triple H doing this spot here too.
Yeah. They're so different
Big boot.
personalities, but such a good, they actually work well together.
Yes. Oh, he missed it.
Love the camera flash as well then too.
Oh, yes.
Mm. Here we go. Put him up. Pedigree time.
Pedigree. Time for the pedigree.
And he does take a pretty good pedigree. I'll give Hogan that.
That's
He
excellent.
did well there. Mm.
Yes. Referee, awake.
Just
Not a
cheap
good
shots him.
Not a good night to be referee Earl Hebner.
Mm.
This is a nasty shot.
Oh, shit. Yep.
Got his head up. And let's focus on the Undertaker. He's going to do the shear.
This is pretty cool. Drags him over to him, though. And I love Hogan's reply straight away. Nah, I'm not having it. Look at that.
What are you doing, man? Oh, you son of a bitch. Boom. Boom.
Even this clash of styles, too. Like, this isn't Dead Man Taker. Like, this is American Badass Taker.
Boom. That's
There's
it.
the leg drop. Where's Earl?
We got a
Wow.
new champion. We have a
I
new champion.
I remember just looking at you in this moment going, wait,
Mhm.
what? What? He just won the no! Like, I mean, I was actually so angry
Yeah.
because I was so positive Hunter, winning at WrestleMania. I'm like, no way he's going to drop it to Hogan.
Look at Big Evil with a smirk on his face.
Mm. Well, I believe the co-main event before this was Taker Stone Cold with Ric Flair as the referee.
There's the match referee.
And that was the winner of that would get a title shot at Judgment Day.
Yep.
Yeah.
That's
and
right.
Taker won because I think he took Austin's leg off the rope and Flair didn't see Austin's foot go on the rope and counted the 3. And that's how, Taker gets his title shot against Hogan at Judgment Day.
That's right. And Flair at one time, like, sort of teamed with the NWO.
Yeah, well, he joined them a few weeks later. He turned heel and
Yeah, it's
I don't know. What?
Flair against Flair as part of the NWO. Oh, here we go, Hunter.
Look at that. Look at it running into his eyes, all down his face. Yeah.
Yes.
He's so jacked up. Triple, look at Jack. He's got look at his shoulders.
And
His
all of them,
pecs
both
as
of
well,
them.
just jacked
They've
up.
got muscles on top of muscles, jacked up, strong ass necks.
I was going to say, look at us, Al, in our TBK tops. Like, you do the pose too, like this. Do it with me, Al.
No.
Okay. Well, it's embarrassing. Come on.
Oh.
There we go. Oh.
Yeah, well, I'm not being a buck.
Let's do the bucks. Ready? This way. Go. This way. Oh, Al, this way. There we go. There's a new gift for us. And there's the handshake.
You're the man. No, you're the man.
Look at Hunter just stomp away. Just
Undertaker, your ass is grass, and I'm gonna smoke it.
just crazy. I could not believe that. I'm like Hogan's first championship win in since like 1993, I think it was.
Yeah, 9 years, as
Yeah.
JR said at the beginning of the match.
Which was Mania 9 when he came out and beat Yoko.
Yoko beat Brett, and then Hogan beat Yoko.
Did he have a black eye or something as well? Didn't he, Hogan?
Yes,
Yeah.
sir. Yep.
All right.
Had a bit of a shiner. Hanging out the beach with Brutus the Barber Beefcake, and probably a weed transaction got wrong and got popped in the eye. I was going to make a horrible joke about taking a boat to the face, but Brutus Beefcake already did that first.
Yeah.
That's terrible.
There we
I
go.
apologize for that. American. Hogan must pose. Hogan must pose.
Well, there we go, Al. Any final comments on that one?
Fantastic. Always going back. Always fun going back and watching that particular match right there from Backlash 2002 with Hulk Hogan, HHH versus Triple H. HHH.
So just before we finish up, guys, we want to give a shout out to not one, but two Great Wrestling Podcasts. Check these guys out.
What's up, everybody? I am the hardest part of the ring, the host of the Apron Bump podcast. And I know what you're thinking. Ugh, another wrestling podcast? How many times can I listen to fans beat up on WWE and AEW? Tell me who needs a push, who doesn't need a push, who brings Vince's coffee these days. Enough! I'm just as sick of it as you are, and that's why I created the Apron Bump. The Apron Bump is about the journey. It's about nostalgia. It's about discovering new forms of wrestling to really tickle your pickle as a wrestling fan. It's about making wrestling fun again. The podcast brings you reviews of wrestling events all over the world, tying together over 6 different promotions spanning 4 different decades. And everything is chronologically in a timeline to really allow myself and all you listeners to live through these eras while having a good time doing it. Whether it's WWF, WWE, WCW, ECW. We even cover the golden eras of Ring of Honor, Progress, TNA, and more promotions in the future as well. New episodes every Wednesday, or as some may say, Bump Day, Yeah? Go to apronbump.com or go to your favorite podcast platform or YouTube and subscribe today for the most diverse, fan-friendly wrestling podcast in the world. I'm Hard.
Interruption in progress. Now hijacking into ANS 2.0 immersion rig. Now simulating the amazing nerd show. Featuring comics.
And Batman's like, you're safe here and everything, but the Joker all of a sudden pulls out a gun and shoots himself.
Movies.
People fight with lightsabers. What the hell do you want? I mean, in every one of these movies, there's a lightsaber battle.
Yeah, no problem. I'm gonna rewatch it a million times.
Yeah.
I'm just saying, give me something more.
Wrestling.
That would be awesome. Oh my god, just a monster. Fans would be like, holy, what the hell's going on? What happened to Jericho?
Horror.
It starts off like any other like home invasion type of story, and then it just goes crazy.
And more.
Hey, this is Christian.
Hey, this is Damon.
And we are the Amazing Nerd Show.
Make sure to download us on all your favorite podcast platforms.
All right, guys, we are back and we're at the tail end of episode 158 of the Broadcast Podcast. In regards to our show, you can download all episodes down the bottom here on our Instagram and our Twitter, all of our socials, episodes on Podbean, Apple iTunes, Castro, Castbox, and Spotify. Alan, where can people find you?
You can find me right down here too. That's Alan Ross 84 TBK. And I am on Twitch, so you can also find me on there as TTV Roscoe Bosco 84. And I'm on the TikTok, that's Roscoe_Bosco 84. That's where you can find me.
Very nice. Any closing comments before we finish up?
Oh, thanks for a great show. It's going well. We're on the YouTubes and we're doing fantastically, I believe, with this new partnership that we've joined. So I'm really looking forward to more and more excellent stuff to come.
No, that's awesome. So once again, thank you to Nick and Keith and the Universal Wrestling Podcast and also the Bloodline Entertainment Network. As we say each and every episode, good morning, good afternoon, good evening, or
Good night.